Hi friends, welcome to my channel. Today I am making Indio Viejo or Nicaraguan beef stew. This is a recipe that goes back to the time of the Spanish conquest, so it is a very old recipe, hundreds of years old. But this year, the online magazine Taste Atlas Awards gave it second place finish out of 100 recipes from around the world. So I want to share it with you, and you can let me know in the comments what you think about it, or if you've had it before. So let's get started. You can make it with day-old tortillas or with corn masa. I prefer making it with corn dough or masa. I add the beef broth to the masa and stir it. I need to mix it well to dissolve the masa and let it sit there. I want the masa to start getting some flavor. In Nicaragua, they soak the tortillas in water overnight, but this is more flavorful in my opinion. You're welcome to hit the subscribe button anytime for more authentic and eclectic recipes. I boiled the flap meat the night before in the pressure cooker, and now I'm going to shred it. I have a recipe of ropa vieja cubana where I cook the beef in the pressure cooker, and so I will leave the video at the end. You want the beef to have a ton of flavor. The method of the ropa vieja and boiling this meat is very similar, and you're going to use the broth anyhow from the meat. In fact, you will need a total of 3 cups. Now I'm going to start with a sofrito. In Nicaragua, it is traditional to make it with about half a cup of pork lard, but I make it with olive oil, just plain olive oil. So I added 3 tablespoons of it to the pot. You don't need a lot of fat to flavor the food. The flavor is in the ingredients, right? I start with the green bell peppers because they take longer to cook. I cook them for about 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes before adding the onions. If you use a stainless steel pot, here are a couple of tips to make the pot non-stick. Make sure the oil is very hot before adding the onions, then cook them for at least 5 minutes. You'll see that nothing will stick to the bottom of the pan because the chemical reaction from the onions, the heat, and the metal makes it non-stick. I don't know why, but that's what happens. Then I add about 6 minced garlic cloves or half a head of garlic. I am flavoring the oil with those ingredients. The garlic is going to take about 1 minute to cook. Beforehand, I had washed and chopped 5 ripe Roma tomatoes, and I'm going to crush them with the stick blender. In Nicaragua, they add the chopped tomatoes directly into the stew, but I cannot stand the tomato skin in any stew, not just this one. Once the garlic is sauteed, I added the tomatoes and will saute them until they have lost almost all their liquid. As you can see, there's a little technique to this. You're adding flavor in layers. And as you can see, nothing sticks to the bottom of the pan. I also have 2 cups of mint leaves, and I will add 2/3 of it to the stew and reserve the last third. And I'm gonna add it to the stew. Here you can add about half a cup of chopped cilantro if you want to. I'm not gonna do this time, but it just makes it even more aromatic. It's up to you to add it or not. Next, I add the shredded beef. That's a little over a pound cooked, and I'm going to integrate it well with the veggies. Story: I had dissolved the dough with the broth, but for some strange reason I decided to reheat it in the microwave. I have never done that before, and it turned out very lumpy. So my lesson is don't do it. Leave the dough alone. Of course, I fixed it when I added the rest of the beef broth, but still, it was not the time to come up with new ideas. This is a very old recipe, and you have to leave it alone. When you add the masa, stir, 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 and a word about the beef broth. I put the broth in the fridge the night before because, as you know, the fat will go up to the surface and it will solidify. Once solidified, it is easier to remove the excess fat from the broth. There are a few legends about the name of this particular stew. Indio Viejo means old man. One of the stories says that some Spanish arrived to an indigenous village. The natives were cooking and the Spaniards asked what they were making. The natives told them that an old man had died and they were cooking him. So there's the name, a cooked old man. Supposedly that's how the name came about. In my opinion, they just didn't understand each other because they spoke two different languages. Here I have 1 teaspoon of achiote or annatto dissolved in water and half a cup of bitter orange juice. And I add the annatto to the stew. You can add just a little bit or the entire mixture like I did. Annatto tastes earthy, slightly peppery, and a little floral with a hint of nutmeg. If you haven't tried it, give it a chance. Tastes very good. Next, I add the bitter orange juice. And here's a tip. You can buy it in the grocery store or you can make bitter orange juice by mixing half an orange with the juice of 1 lime. Continue to cook for about 10 to 15 minutes on low heat. You want to make sure that the dough is fully cooked. If you like the video and think that I explained it correctly, give me a thumbs up so other people can find it. Taste and correct the salt. You always do that before serving. And add the 1/3 of the leftover meat. It will bring up all the flavors and add a taste of freshness to the stew. It's super aromatic. Trust me, you will love it. Thanks for stopping by to check my videos. Chaito, and don't forget to watch the other video at the end.